Nearly 6 years after the first game launched, Kojima Productions' Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is finally available for all players on PS5. It's already garnered extensive critical acclaim, becoming one of the highest-rated games of the year, which is no small feat given that competition. While there's plenty to love about it, from combat and exploration to the storyline and the characters, the sequel also includes tons of quality-of-life changes and improvements over the original. Of course, since it's a Hideo Kojima game, there's also a ton of details to uncover. Some aren't immediately obvious, even if you're playing for several hours. Others are just incredible little touches, both graphical and in-game. So without further ado, here are 15 stellar examples of attention to detail in Death Stranding 2. Insane load times. When quitting out of the game and loading back in, you probably noticed the load times, or really, rather, the complete absence. Go to Load Game from the main menu, select your file, and boom, there it is. The sheer instantaneous nature of the loading is so incredible that it even surpasses the likes of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. It's downright baffling to witness, and yet it feels so good.
Take care of yourself.
Camera collision. While brushing past shrubbery and bushes in the world, you may have noticed that some of them move even when Sam isn't that close. Angle things carefully, and it's actually the camera which has some collision with objects. An ode to, of all things, Super Mario 64, where the camera was a Lakitu filming the whole time. Who can say, but it's a nice touch. Character models. As noted in our head-to-head comparison with the first Death Stranding, Death Stranding 2's character models had seen a massive upgrade. This became most apparent in the opening hour when traversing the mountain range and returning to Sam's hideout, but even more so when he sheds all the porter gear. The increased poly count, the skin tones, the eye rendering, all of those little touches with the facial animations and expressions, it all feels truly next-gen, especially when compared to the first game. And that wasn't a bad-looking game by a long shot. By every countenance, this is a proper PS5 exclusive. Hair animations. Then there are the hair animations, and again, they already looked pretty good in Death Stranding, but the hair is more detailed in the sequel. You'll see even Sam's hair realistically sway as the wind picks up, adding further to the immersion and making those dust storms feel even more realistic. Topography details. Of course, we can't ignore the world and how incredible its environments are. I felt that Kojima Productions placed greater emphasis on elevation this time around, with Australia's mountain representing a peak, and no pun intended, in exploration and attention to detail for the franchise, with varying ridges and slopes that looked true to life. However, even as you wander the world, dense forests and extensive grasslands all buzz to life in their own spectacular ways, making this a goldmine for video game photographers everywhere.
We're approaching us. It exploded. Was it some sort of homing landmine? Sam, we're in serious danger here.
Dustborn. As realistic as the characters are, they're even more real when interacting with the weather or passing through a dust storm. The latter will see Sam's face, goggles, cargo, clothing, and even his facial hair covered in dust, which can also be seen piled up on nearby cars and structures. Even the poor Odra deck isn't even spared. Realistic sand washing. Wading through rivers and other water bodies is enough to wash the sand off. However, what's especially cool is how only the parts underwater are cleaned. If Sam's head isn't submerged, the dust effectively stays on, creating a hilarious contrast with the rest of his drenched body. Sunburns. Another incredible bit of detail is how spending too much time in the sun can cause Sam to become sunburned. It's most visible on his face, particularly forehead and the cheeks. This isn't the first time that such real-world conditions can be implemented, as seen in Death Stranding 1, where you could get frostbite. Particle Effects Bonanza. We've seen the battle against Neil, which takes place in an otherworldly location inspired by Mexico's Day of the Dead, and its particle effects look simply phenomenal. However, if you haven't noticed it in previous footage, not only do they naturally fall on Neil and his group, but they're also reflected in nearby puddles while walking through the streets. Implementing something like this without the use of ray tracing is pretty incredible, everything considered. Doll Man's Rage. In one of the more diegetic ways to scout for information, Sam can throw Doll Man and mark the positions of enemies, followed by a well-timed retrieval and catch. However, toss him into the ground one too many times, and the function will become unavailable as he's upset with you, and even begs not to be thrown again.
Ouch! Nope, I am not going anywhere. Please don't. I'm feeling especially fearful of heights today. Don't you dare, Sam. I'm still upset with you. Wait, I'm not up for this right now.
Birthday Surprise. References revolving around birthdays are nothing new for Hideo Kojima titles, and Death Stranding 2 proudly continues that tradition. The crew of the DHV Magellan will be waiting in the cockpit to surprise you, complete with poppers and a cake, which is promptly ruined by Charlie. Even more surprising is when Higgs appears with a pizza, and everyone is, kind of fine with that? Though it's presented as one of the many dreams that Sam can have, that pizza slice remains for him to eat. Another nice detail is that while on calls in-game, various people will wish you a happy birthday. So thanks, Kojima.
Hello! Have a wonderful birthday. My name's Sam. Say happy birthday. Hey! Have a wonderful birthday. Hey! Hope your birthday is the best. Somebody lend me a hand. Say happy birthday.
Dreaming of Lou. Sam has some rather interesting dreams while sleeping. And while some can be weird and look out for the elder at one point, there are some sweet occurrences. When nodding off, Lou will manifest, floating around with tiny wings, indicating that Sam is thinking about and missing her. Yet another nice touch, especially when he mumbles about no one being at home. Just make sure there's no impending dust storm or enemies nearby.
It hurts. No more.
Woe pizza upon ye. Pizza isn't just something that Higgs is strangely obsessed with. You can also unlock it in-game as a weapon. During combat, it can be thrown and knock down an enemy. It's more of a dough sans any toppings, but seeing Sam twirling it around in hand before tossing it is comical, and unusually effective if you're trying to play stealthy. Doll Man's Dance. For those who don't remember last year's special event at Tokyo Game Show 2024, Doll Man is capable of some surprisingly slick moves. If you put on Daichi Miura's Horizon Dreamer and speak to him, the camera will shift to the empty desk, and 5 Dollmans will appear to break it down. Miura himself eventually appears to join because, well, why not? The fact that the performance utilizes professional dancers, including Shingo Okamoto, adds much more to the presentation, and its ridiculousness. Tying packages. Strand is a tool that can be used to take down enemies or counter their attacks. However, you can also use it to tie down your cargo. That way, they won't all fly apart when you take a tumble, making it much easier to retrieve them. All you have to do is take your cargo off, equip the strand, and press R2 to tie it down. A huge quality of life addition, especially for porters who find themselves taking a nasty spill. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.